Psychedelic rock produced hundreds of songs, but only a small number of them actually earned the word. Most the records that didn't just experiment with sound, but permanently redefined what rock music was allowed to be. The question this countdown is built around is a serious one. What makes a song the most psychedelic ever recorded? Not just trippy production or unusual sounds, but the combination of sonic ambition, cultural impact, and lasting influence that separates a genuinely boundary-dissolving record from one that simply sounds different. That standard eliminates most contenders immediately. What's left is a list of 10 songs that changed the architecture of recorded music records, that arrived so far ahead of their moment that the industry, the radio programmers, and sometimes even the artists themselves didn't fully understand what had just been made until years later. Tonight we're counting down the 10 that cleared that bar, the most psychedelic rock songs ever recorded, ranked by how far they went, how hard they landed, and how permanently they rewired the sound of everything that came after. Stick around, because one of these songs was recorded using a technique its own producer invented on the spot and had never tried before. Another was banned by a major broadcaster for reasons that had nothing to do with its lyrics and became more legendary because of it. Both are on this list. Let's get into it. 10 8 Miles High. The Byrds, 1966. Before a single note of this record plays, the title alone signals that something different is happening. 8 miles is the cruising altitude of a commercial airplane above the clouds, above the weather, above the ordinary world entirely. The Byrds built this track around a guitar tone deliberately modeled after John Coltrane's saxophone work, not a rock influence, not a blues influence, but a jazz innovator whose approach to melody was considered radical even within jazz. Bringing that sensibility into a rock song in 1966 was genuinely unprecedented. It was banned by radio stations across the United States almost immediately after release, not for any explicit content, but because industry gatekeepers assumed the title was a drug reference. The Byrds denied it publicly. The controversy made the song more famous than radio play alone ever would have. It became the record that opened the door for an entire generation of guitarists to think about the instrument differently, not as a rhythm tool or a blues vehicle, but as something capable of pure abstract expression. If this is the kind of music history that actually means something to you, the real stories, the moments that changed everything, this channel goes deeper on exactly that every single week. The subscribe button is right there. And everything we do here is built for people who take music seriously. From a song that redefined the guitar, we move to one that redefined the studio itself. 9. Good Vibrations, The Beach Boys, 1966. And the way the sunlight plays. The production cost more than any pop single ever recorded to that point. Sessions spread across 4 different studios, 17 recording dates, and nearly a year of work to finish a song that runs under 4 minutes. Brian Wilson has described this record as a pocket symphony, a song structured less like a conventional verse-chorus pop single and more like a piece of classical composition. moving through distinct emotional movements rather than repeating a familiar pattern. He was hearing something in his head that had never existed on tape before, and the gap between what he imagined and what technology could produce kept pushing the sessions further. It became the best-selling Beach Boys single of all time and one of the most studied production achievements in American music history. Engineers and producers still dissect how it was built, not because the techniques are mysterious, but because the instincts behind them were so far ahead of their moment. Do you know how many instruments are layered in the final mix? Most people who've heard the song 100 times still can't name them all. And that raises a real question worth asking: which song do you think took more creative courage? Spending a year perfecting every single layer the way Brian Wilson did, or stripping everything back down to almost nothing the way Prince did on Kiss? Two completely opposite instincts, both producing era-defining records. Drop your answer in the comments, genuinely curious where people land on that. From a record built on obsessive production, we move to one built on a single, earth-shifting guitar chord. 8. A Whiter Shade of Pale, Procol Harum, 1967. The opening organ line is one of the most recognized musical phrases in rock history, and it arrived fully formed, almost as if it had always existed and simply needed someone to find it. Procol Harum built the song around a Bach cantata, weaving classical structure into rock instrumentation in a way that felt neither academic nor forced. The lyrics operate on a completely different level: surreal, symbolic, resistant to any single interpretation, which is precisely why they've been debated and analyzed for over half a century without resolution. It spent 6 weeks at #1 in the United Kingdom and became the best-selling single of 1967 in several countries. A remarkable commercial performance for a record this deliberately strange. Radio programmers didn't know exactly what it was, they just knew they couldn't stop playing it. It remains one of the most licensed songs in music history, appearing in films, television, and commercials for decades because its emotional atmosphere is essentially impossible to replicate with anything else. From an organ line that stopped the world, we moved to a guitar riff that rewired it. 7. Purple Haze, Jimi Hendrix, 1967. The opening 3 notes are a tritone and interval so historically associated with dissonance that medieval composers called it the devil in music and actively avoided it. Jimi Hendrix opened his debut single with it, at full volume, as a deliberate challenge. Hendrix wrote this in the early hours of the morning after a dream he later described as being underwater, walking through a purple haze with no sense of direction or time. Whether the song is about a dream, a person, a substance, or something else entirely has never been settled, and that ambiguity is built into it intentionally. It became the record that redefined what an electric guitar could do in a rock context. The feedback, the whammy bar manipulation, the sheer physicality of the performance captured on tape. Every rock guitarist who came after had to reckon with what Hendrix did in this 3-minute song before they could figure out who they were going to be. That creative disruption leads us to a record that disrupted not just music, but the entire concept of what a recording studio was for. Number 6. Tomorrow Never Knows, The Beatles, 1966. The instructions John Lennon gave the producer were specific. He wanted to sound like thousands of monks chanting on a hilltop. The problem was that it was 1966 and that sound didn't exist on tape. What followed was one of the most technically inventive recording sessions in the history of the Abbey Road Studios. Backward guitar loops, tape running at variable speeds, vocals processed through a rotating speaker cabinet to create a texture that had never appeared on a commercial record before. Producer George Martin and engineer Jeff Emmerich essentially invented techniques on the spot to chase a sound that had no precedent. It closed the Revolver album, deliberately placed last, as a destination rather than an opening, and immediately made everything the band had recorded before it sound like it belonged to a different era. Which, in a sense, it did. Musicians who heard it in 1966 have described a specific kind of disorientation, the feeling of not understanding how it was made, combined with the certainty that music had just permanently shifted. From the studio being reinvented, we moved to the concert stage being redefined by a single performance. 5. White Rabbit, Jefferson Airplane, 1967. 2 minutes and 32 seconds. That's all this song takes to build from a single snare roll to a full orchestral crescendo, borrowing the structure of Ravel's Bolero and using it to deliver the most quietly subversive lyric in mainstream rock radio history. Grace Slick wrote this in a single night, reportedly after spending hours listening to Miles Davis records on repeat. The Alice in Wonderland imagery gave the song a surface-level innocence that radio programmers couldn't easily reject, while the meaning sitting underneath that imagery was unmistakable to anyone paying attention. It became the song that proved psychedelic rock could operate on two levels simultaneously, accessible enough for mainstream radio, led enough for listeners who wanted to go deeper. That double structure became a template dozens of artists borrowed in the years that followed. The final note, held and sustained as the song peaks, is one of the most dramatically effective moments in the entire genre. When it lands completely. If you're watching this and thinking of someone who would genuinely appreciate this conversation, a friend, a family member, someone who grew up on this music or discovered it later, this is the kind of video worth passing on. Not everyone knows these stories. And sometimes the best gift is just sending someone something that makes them feel less alone in what they love. From a song that worked on two levels, we moved to one that operated on no conventional level at all. 4. Inagada di Avida, Iron Butterfly, 1968. 17 minutes and 5 seconds on the album version. A drum solo that runs nearly 3 minutes on its own. A title that was reportedly a slurred, barely intelligible version of the phrase "in the Garden of Eden." Iron Butterfly did not set out to make a radio single. They set out to fill a side of an album with something so immersive and consuming that listeners would have no choice but to stay inside it for the entire duration. The gamble was enormous. A 17-minute rock track in 1968 had no precedent in commercial music. It became one of the best-selling albums of the year and introduced mainstream rock audiences to the idea that a song didn't have to operate within conventional time limits to find a massive audience. Extended playing time, repetitive hypnotic passages,
Don't you know that I'm loving you?
a sense of music as an environment rather than a structure, all of that arrived in the mainstream with this record. From a song with no time limits, we arrive at one that made time itself feel irrelevant. Number 3, Strawberry Fields Forever, The Beatles. 1967. Two completely different versions of this song were recorded in two completely different keys and two completely different tempos. John Lennon loved parts of each and couldn't decide between them. Producer George Martin told him they couldn't be joined, they were in the wrong key and the wrong speed. Lennon's response was simple: fix it. Martin and Emmerich spent days manipulating tape speeds until the two versions could be spliced together at a point where the key change was masked by a natural shift in the arrangement.
Nothing is real.
The edit point is at exactly 1 minute in. Most listeners have never noticed it.
It's not too bad.
The song became a defining statement of what the recording studio could be: not a place to capture a performance,
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm
but a place to build something that could never exist in any other form. That philosophy reshaped how every serious rock album was made for the next decade.
let me take you
It is regularly cited as one of the greatest songs ever recorded in any genre.
down, 'cause I'm going to stroll.
The distance between what it set out to do and what it actually achieved is immeasurable. From a record that redefined the studio,
Living is easy with eyes.
we move to the song that may have produced the single most famous guitar solo in rock history. 2. Comfortably Numb. Pink Floyd, 1979.
Can you stand up?
David Gilmour has described the guitar solo in this song as the best he ever recorded, not because of technical complexity,
But your boot is going to be something big. I say it's a special appointment to kidnap Hitler.
but because of emotional truth. He recorded multiple versions and assembled the final solo from the best phrases across several takes, the same way a film editor builds a scene. Roger Waters wrote the lyrics from inside a specific memory a night during the band's The Wall tour when he was given medication backstage to allow him to perform despite being seriously ill,
My hands felt just like
and the specific feeling of numbness and disconnection that followed. The conversation in the song between a doctor and a patient is drawn directly from that experience.
comfortably numb.
It became one of the most played rock songs in radio history, a psychedelic epic built into a 12-minute album track, somehow distilled into a radio edit that lost none of the original's emotional weight. Classic rock stations have never stopped playing it. They never will. The guitar solo in the final section is the moment most listeners identify as the emotional peak, a passage so carefully constructed that it sounds entirely spontaneous.
Just a little pinprick.
There are songs on this list that people discovered as teenagers and never stopped carrying with them. If one of these records found you at a specific moment in your life and genuinely changed something, the way you listened,
But you may feel a little sick.
the way you thought about music, even the way you understood yourself, tell that story in the comments. Those are the ones
But I can't hear what you say.
we arrive at the record that started everything. 1. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, The Beatles, 1967. The title's initials spell LSD. John Lennon spent years insisting that was a coincidence that the song came from a painting his son Julian brought home from school, a drawing of a classmate named Lucy in a sky filled with diamonds. Whether the coincidence was genuinely accidental has been debated ever since. What is not debatable is what the song accomplished sonically. The production slowed down piano, sped up organ, cascading harp-like effects, a tempo that shifts between the verse and chorus to create a sense of moving between two different states was unlike anything on commercial radio in 1967. The BBC banned it immediately. The ban made it mythological. It became the defining psychedelic rock statement of its era and, for many, of the entire genre, the record that most completely captures what psychedelic rock was reaching for. Music that doesn't describe an altered state, but actually recreates one inside the listener's experience. 50 years later, it still does exactly that. 10 songs, each one a record that didn't just push a boundary, it dissolved one entirely. What psychedelic rock did, at its best, was prove that music had no ceiling, that the studio was an instrument, that a song didn't have to make sense to make you feel something profound. These 10 records are the proof of that, the farthest out, the most enduring, and the most permanently influential songs the genre ever produced. Which one takes you somewhere else every time you hear it? Drop it in the comments. And if there's a record you think should have made this list, make the argument, we want to hear it. We cover music like this every week, not just the chart positions and the chart history, but the real human stories sitting underneath the records that changed everything. If that's the kind of thing you want more of, you already know where to find the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one.